Hello everyone. Today we use this time talk about Tai Chi Chuan push hands. We know Tai Chi Chuan is one of the internal martial arts. For method deal with the opponent, Tai Chi Chuan we're saying is use soft, control hard. And how we use soft, control hard? Here we have some principles. First, we're saying not resisting your opponent, not separate with your opponent. And when we are practice the skill technique of the push hands or free fight, we're saying the first step you have to learn is listening energy. And how you can be listening energy to be touched with your opponent. How you can keep in touch with your opponent, we have some basic principle here. And generally in Chinese we have 4 words we call 沾, 黏, 连, 随, which is in English we're saying is sticking, adhering, following, and connecting. So these 4 words we talk about, what's the meaning of this? Sticking, how you can sticking on your opponent. We're saying sticking is give the meaning is can pulling your opponent's root meaning. And when you are practice with opponent or deal with the opponent, Tai Chi Chuan, we have one strategy, which is means opponent don't move, you don't move. And when your opponent start move, then you move it, which is means when your opponent start move, then you can do touch your opponent, sticking your opponent. And sticking on your opponent, you cannot only do it by yourself, which is means part energy come from your opponent, part of energy come from you. For example, when opponent like they punch into you, okay, so when they are punching to you, if they don't punch you, they just put arm in there, and you put arm there, you can see here I don't have sticking, I cannot really control my opponent's direction. But when my opponent, for example, he wants to punch and I have the energy, because he has energy coming to me, I have energy push in him, then I have the sticking energy and follow the opponent continue move forward, I can guide my opponent's root out. So this is how we say the sticking. So which is means let your opponent move first and you touch your opponent. Part of energy actually is come from your opponent, part of energy come from you, and you can secure it, stay with your opponent and sticking on your opponent. And once you're sticking on your opponent, you can do is lift up your opponent's root. So Chinese will say 提高拔上之谓也 means pulling up, root up your opponent. And the second principle we're saying is adhering. And how we do this, what's the meaning of this movement, of this principle? We're saying adhering is to be joined with your opponent and not make your opponent, not against to your opponent, and also not make your opponent very free to do everything. Okay, which is means don't straight against to your opponent, and also don't straight let your opponent directly into your center. For example, when we are do the push, for example, when my opponent touched me, okay, he wants to push to me. I don't want opponent direct come to my center and push me over. So this is what I don't want it. But I also don't want when my opponent push to me, I'm straight resisting my opponent against my opponent. That's what going to be like harder to hard. That's looking for who are strong. So when we do the adhering, we're saying is when my opponent push, I will allow my opponent coming in. But I use adhering and bring my opponent's energy to the side. And when my opponent try to push my center, I always directing my opponent's energy to different direction. And when my opponent try to push my center, found my center, and I always try ward off and make my opponent not really easy to find where is my center. So this kind of energy we're seeing is adhering. Okay, when my opponent, for example, want to hear, you can see I'm guiding my opponent to the side. When my opponent from this side come to my center, I'm guiding to the side. And both sides come together and both arms guiding them to the side. So this kind of meaning we're saying is adhering. Okay, and do not resisting your opponent. Also try not separate your opponent. When you are when we sing the listening energy, actually it's not really use ear to listening your opponent. We use touch. You know, you touch with your opponent together and find the feeling of your opponent to listening what? Listening your opponent's empty and full. And which side they want to move forward, which side they want to move back, or which side is coming from a side direction, which angle. So try to know what your opponent wants to do. So this is what we call listening energy. And also connecting, following these two principles, which means try not separate with your opponent, connecting with your opponent. And how you do this? Okay, for example, when we say connecting, we say in Chinese we call opponent do this, you connecting, responding as that. Okay, so for example, when my opponent try to push me over, okay, I don't want resisting opponent, and I want to do is go with my opponent and keep connect and use the other side. I can do response to my opponent. And if we do clear, for example, one side my opponent push, I can connecting the energy and borrow the energy from my opponent, and the other side transfer the energy to my opponent. So connecting together, always in touch with my opponent. Following, okay, don't let your opponent go. Okay, for example, when your opponent push to you, okay, you don't resist your opponent. Resisting, which means not followed. When your opponent want to go back, don't let them go. Okay, you have to go with them. Opponent want to move back, you go also with the opponent. And when your opponent, for example, from here, they go back turning, and you are not really separate opponent. Still keep follow your opponent, okay, and do not resisting. This is about these principles. Generally, from the other direction to explain it, we're saying is don't resist your opponent, don't separate with your opponent. So you're resisting your opponent, that's become harder to harder. That's not what we want. We're saying is use soft control the heart. Okay, and do not separate from your opponent. If you separate your opponent between you and your opponent, then you don't know opponents what your opponent wanted. They want to move forward, they want to move back, which side is empty, which side is full. You will get no information from your opponent. So that's the reason we're saying first the processor, you have to practice listening energy. To be listening energy, you have to stay in touch with the opponent. Okay, and the second step of the practice we're saying is understand energy. So you know opponent coming to you, but you have to understand how deal with your opponent. Okay, for example, when we are practicing push hands, when my opponent start to use some application, for example, he start pushing on me. Okay, I understand from listening energy, I get information. Okay, my opponent is going to push to me, but from the understand energy, how you understand to deal with your opponent, which method you're going to use. So here you can say my opponent push on me, I turn body, try use body turning and adhering my opponent's energy to the side, directing my opponent's energy to side. This is a method and how we understand deal with my opponent. This is not only one method, I'm just use this as an example. So a lot of the applications, when your opponent use it, you have to know how to see when opponent do roll back to me, what I'm going to do. I know my opponent going to do the roll back, but I have to understand how I deal with it. When my opponent roll back on me, you can see I'm turning and make my opponent cannot continue to do it. Okay, so this is about the understanding. So inside of the push hands, or even later you do the free fight, there are a lot of the variation for one applications. So all you need to know is understand how to switch, changing the position, the situation from bad situation to the good situation for you. And this is about the understand energy. And the last step we see is intuition, which means after your long time practice from experience, you put it together and you understand how to respond your opponent without you thinking it. And that's actually Tai Chi Chuan 10 principles we taught. Keep your mind calm and don't think too much. So, for example, when we are practice pushing with our opponent, we really cannot thinking, my opponent left, right. You cannot keep your mind very busy and looking around. So what you really to do is keep your mind is very centered. And when your opponent coming to you, don't nervous. Just use the experience, what you understand, try to respond your opponent. Okay, so when your opponent is trying to pushing on you, you can see naturally to do it response. And when your opponent use application to you, so naturally understand how you do it without thinking, and from experience, from what you practiced, understand before, and naturally go to response. And opponent do something different to you, you use different method, try to neutralize your opponent. And we are more really like artists. Okay, opponent push something to do something, you make something different to neutralize your opponent. You are start designing a movements to responding your opponent. That's the reason we also say Tai Chi Chuan is one of the naturally martial arts. You can see later on, for sure we start with the sequence. Later on, there is no movement, no shape. Okay, everything is decided from your opponent. Opponent gave you something, you do something different. And this is how we say Tai Chi Chuan is naturally martial arts. So this is a very basic. I talked a little bit about the theory part of the push hands. Actually, there is more details. Once we get into the push hands application, and we can talk about more detail about this part of theory. So the theory we just talked to here. For Tai Chi Chuan's push hands, generally we say two types of the push hands. One we say fixed step, which means footwork, not move. One we call moving steps, which means step together with the opponent. And in fixed step, we also separate single arm push hands and double arm push hands. Now I show you single arm horizontal push hands, circling. Okay, so from here, we do prepare movement. Okay, when you do the prepare movement about the footwork, left toe point to the corner direction, right foot toe direction straight. Actually, we are going to make both stance and shifting weight back, sitting back. And when you are do the prepare movement, both of me and my opponent, we do same thing. So left toe open to corner and right foot facing your opponent's left foot, and from here, both of us front each other to make footwork stance like this. And when we are touched with arm, pay attention. The hands touching is in wrist area, and which area we put both of our hands in center between me and my opponent, which is do not put too much in your side and also not too close to your opponent. In the center, equal. Your weight not sitting back, not moving forward, and about in middle position should be okay. And we first do single arm push hands. We think is a horizontal circle, okay, which is you can see the circling is a horizontal to make this circle, okay, horizontal circle. And this is how we say the horizontal single arm push hands. Now I talk about the principles. Okay, first about the hand technique. Hand technique, when we are do the single arm horizontal circle, basically we only have ward off and push. Okay, these two basic technique. And when I do ward off, my opponent does push. Okay, so push, ward off. Okay, when I push, my opponent is ward off. And here you can see we make these two techniques continuing move. Ward off to push. Okay, next talk about hand technique, how we make this circle. When you are do the ward off, okay, when our opponent pushing to you, what you're going to do is body turn right, okay, and follow body turning, rotate your arms, changing hand technique. And when you are pushed to your opponent, you push to where? Not straight push forward. Actually, is you're pushing to your opponent's center, okay, which is means you are a little bit curved. Push to your opponent and touch your opponent to do the push. And the opponent follow body turn right, changing hand technique to push. Okay, and when opponent changing hand technique to push, I changing push to ward off. Okay, so this is how we switch hand technique. And when you are sitting back or moving forward, that's the time for you switch hand technique. Remember, before we talk about the connecting, which is means you have to forget yourself, how to keep contact with your opponent during this switch. Do not from here, separate to turning by yourself. And also pay attention when your opponent pushing on you, you follow your opponent go. Okay, keep contact with your opponent. Okay, next talk about the switch hand technique, where we have to pay attention to it. When you are switch the hand technique, you can see we're seeing this circle is a horizontal circle. You can from different angle to see this is a horizontal circle, and we are make a round circle. So when you make the hand switch, you have to pay attention. Do not block your opponent out. Okay, cannot switch hand technique blocking your opponent out. You have to follow your opponent's pushing curve, follow your opponent's pushing motion to switch hand technique, which is when we are switch hand technique, don't circle straight out, and is follow your opponent, make your whole arm follow body turning, rotate, change hand technique, and follow body turning, moving forward to do the push. Okay, and switch hand technique. With body turning from here, you can see is whole arm rotate, changed. Okay, so this is how we switch hand technique. Both of us, we do same thing. So from here, whole arm rotate, switched. Whole arm rotate, switch. Okay, and to do this movement, push, move forward. ward off, sitting back. Push, move forward. Ward off, sitting back. When you are pushing, you also body turn left. When you are ward off, your body turn right, redirect your opponent. And pay attention, push to your opponent's center line. Do not too much push to the side. Push to your opponent's center. This is the position you are going to push. And about your upper body, pay attention. When your opponent push on you, not lean upper body back. Keep sink. Okay, don't lean your upper body back. So pushing forward, sitting back, pushing forward, and sitting back. Don't lean your upper body back. Your left arm just naturally sitting side should be fine. And some people like put in the back, which is also okay. So generally, naturally sitting side is okay. Okay, so this is single arm horizontal circle push hands. Okay, two people coordinate together, upper body, lower body, move together. Okay. Now we go to fixed step, double arms push hands. First, we talk about the prepare movement. So left toe same as before, open to the corner. Right foot stepping forward, make both stance position, and from single arm push hand base. Okay, so which is means touch wrist to your opponent's wrist, and the other side we use left palm touch your opponent's elbow. So similar as before, we do the single arm push hands prepare movement. Okay, just we use two arms. Okay, now I want you to pay attention. Everything is centered, and your weight not too much sitting back, not too much moving forward. Okay, and the touching point centered between you and your opponent. And when you touch your opponent, I want you to pay attention to it. Is between you and your opponent's pressure cannot be too tight, okay, cannot too much heavy on your arm, and also cannot be too light, because if you're too light, you cannot sticking on your opponent, you are going to sliding on your opponent. And only when you are have enough pressure between you and your opponent, you can lead your opponent sticking on your opponent and lead your opponent go. And also we don't want you go too heavy, because if between opponent and me too hard, then you know we make our upper body too heavy. And upper body too heavy, which is means lower body is not enough root. So very easy lost balance from the lower body. So when you are touched with your opponent, do not too heavy and also do not too light. So each people, they have different favorites. Okay, so here I cannot really give you exactly how much you have to put the weight, put the energy on your arm. So you have to choose the comfortable feeling. You can lead your opponent go with you, but also don't feel your root not stable. Okay, so this is a prepare movement. Next, when we go to the double arms circling, we first go to vertical circle. We also see this push hand we call for squared energy push hands, which is means we are going to use ward off, roll back, press, push, and make a slightly change into the circle to do this for squared energy. Okay, so first, just to give you a little idea how we do this push hands, you can see here is a vertical circle motion. The circle motion is vertical, and we changing our hand technique. from, ward off, press, roll back, push, these 4 energies. Okay, so how we do these push hands? We slow down, movement by movement. We talk about, we start from prepare. Okay, so from here, when you can feel you can lead your opponent go. Okay, so you can see here, I want to go left, but you don't straight go to left to make a circle. You want to go left, go right first. From right, go to the left. And the first part, I do as a ward off. My right arm ward off my opponent's both arms. Okay, and after I ward off my opponent's 2 arms, next I go to press. And pay attention, this press movement is different than hand form a little bit. Okay, so hand form, we put our left palm in forearm center. Now you need to put more close to your elbow. Okay, and from here, use left arm, ward off your opponent's both arms, right arm from here, go down circle to do roll back. This movement we call roll back. It's hard for you to see like hand form because we didn't show any of the energy. We have not shown roll back application yet, just in the circle, but the meaning is roll back. If we're going to show roll back, that's going to be looks like you can see here, or more like the hand form roll back. Show the meaning, don't show the energy. Okay, so from here, this movement we call roll back. Okay, and when you do the roll back, pay attention, left arm have to from press, lift up, and the right arm go down circle. I want you use your forearm touch your opponent's elbow. So we switch direction, you can see when we do the roll back, you can see from here I use my forearm touch my opponent's elbow, and from here a circle roll back. After roll back, go to the push. Just say roll back again from here. After press, right arm go down circle. Use your right forearm touch your opponent's elbow, and from here to do roll back. Continue to the push. We switch back direction. So from here, ward off, press, and roll back. Next, the circle continue go rotate arms from here to go push. After push, go ward off again. Press, roll back, push. Okay, so this is 4 energies. Ward off, press, roll back, and push. During this vertical circle, few things we need making clear is about your palm turn in and turn out. When your palm facing in, when your palm facing out, we're looking for your body center line. When your arm passing your body center line, generally palm is facing in. Do not make palm facing out. When your arm in same side of your body, your palm facing out to do as a push technique. Here, ward off. Here, push. Okay, so we can say again. Prepare. Okay, so from here you can see when arm crossed my body, palm turn in. When arm crossed my body center line, palm facing in. So when arm same side of my body, palm facing out. Okay, do not make your palm facing in. And then when you're going to changing palm facing in and facing out, we changing palm in middle of our body position. Okay, so you can see here I changed. Same side, palm facing out. Here, changing, palm facing in. So around your body center area, start changing palm in or palm out. And during the change, you change with your opponent together. Okay, when I change, my opponent also same time to changing hand technique. Do not changing by yourself. Don't changing it too late. Don't changing it too early also. So around center area with your opponent change together. With your opponent changing together. Okay, so this is about palm shape. Okay, next I want you to pay attention moving forward and moving back. Okay, so when you are do the ward off, start move forward. When you are do press, you bend knee, move forward. When you are do the roll back, start moving back. When you are do the push, you sitting back. Sitting back, same as before, don't lean your upper body back. And we say this is a push, but actually you don't really push out your opponent, just has meeting in there. Don't really show the energy. Okay, so from here, push. When you are ward off, start moving forward. When you are press, forward. When you are roll back, start moving back. When you are push, you're sitting back. When you're sitting back, your opponent should moving forward. When you move forward, your opponent should moving back. So our footwork actually is a coordinate to each other. When I forward, opponent back. You can see I'm forward, my opponent back. And back, forward, back, forward. My opponent and me, we move together, okay? But we don't move our footwork, just shifting weight. Don't step on it, okay? So this is about weight moving forward and moving back. And you can see when we are making the circle, actually we only did one side of the circle, which is from my side is counterclockwise. From my opponent's side is clockwise. Okay, now we're going to switch direction and changing to the other side to make the circle. You can see here, what I'm doing now is counterclockwise. Okay, and we switch direction and changing to the other side. Actually, what we're doing exactly same thing as before. You can see ward off, press, roll back, and push. Ward off, press, roll back, and push. And moving forward, moving back, actually is the same as before what we did. When you are press, you forward. When you are push, sitting back. Forward, back. Forward, back. Forward, back. Now we're going to talk about how we switch direction. Okay, so switch direction generally in top session to make a switch. Okay, and switch is when you are circle to the top, gradually stop it. Then from here, a changing back direction. And forward back, coordinate together. To the top, switch back direction. Counterclockwise, clockwise, switch. When your arm stay in the top, gradually stop, changing direction, then should be fine. And you need to pay attention is after changing direction, who going to do the press, who moving forward. See here, after changing, he doing press, he go forward, I go back. And after here I switched, I do press, I kick in forward. Okay, and not always the switch after you go forward, to do the press. Sometimes you could straight go to the push. Okay, sometimes you go to the press, depends who are make the change. Okay, so here I make change, I use right arm change. You can see this time when we are in the this circling. Okay, when I go from this circle direction, change, then I have the press. Okay, because I'm circle clockwise and changing back to counterclockwise, I do the press. But if I am in already counterclockwise, still I'm going to do the change this from this direction counterclockwise to make the change, and still I use my right arm to change. Now is my opponent do the press. Okay, so this is about when we switch, we generally have two situations. Depends which direction you circle, and you could be press, you could be push. So who doing the press, who moving forward. Okay, so from here, this is a generally switch position is centered of your body and in top of your body to make this switch. And not only switch in right arm, left arm also can switch. Left arm also can do the switch. See, left arm also can do the switch. And after you can practice this, become to very well, you can do this switch. The switch direction can be from many different ways to do it. So we also later on can do is from figure 8 switch direction. But first you have to understand how we do from top this basic switch. Then later on you can do more different switch. I just want to say from switch direction go top is not only way. There is many different methods for changing the directions. Okay, so here you can see changing direction, moving forward, moving back. Okay, so this is double arms, vertical circling, and with 4 square energy. Okay. In double arms push hands, we have many circles going to learn. And after we learn the 4 energy vertical circle, next we are going to talk about from vertical circle switch to double arms horizontal circle. The horizontal circle is kind of easy. Most we need to pay attention to is how we switch between vertical circle to horizontal circle. Now we can see. Okay, so we do from here as before we learned vertical circle to changing from a vertical circle to horizontal circle. We have 2 basic methods. One change is from your opponent's press. The other change is from your opponent's from you to do the roll back. Okay, so it's looking for which circle direction you are circling. For example, here I am circle in counterclockwise direction, and at this time I will use from opponent's press, use pulling, guide my opponent out, and switch to horizontal circle. And the horizontal circle double arms basically is the same as single arm horizontal circle. And you can see if we don't add our left arm into it, this is just like single arm push hands. Okay, but from double arms, we start allowed use application. So from here, we need to protecting your opponents, not use elbow strike on you. So we use left arm, palm touch your opponent's elbow, and not allow your opponent to do elbow strike. Okay, so this is about double arms horizontal circle. First, we talk about, how we switch. Then we go talk about how we do the double arm circles. So from here, when my opponent do press, follow your opponent's circle motion from up go down. Your right hand touch your opponent's wrist, left hand touch your opponent's elbow, and pull your opponent out. Pulling, try without grab. Okay, just use sticking, then guide your opponent out. And do not straight guide your opponent out and straight pushing back. You are use circle pushing back. Okay, we don't want make energy has a stop point in here, so you don't like back forward too stiff. Make energy continuing go, which is from here you can feel smooth change the direction. So from up, use pulling, guide your opponent out, and curved pushing forward to your opponent, and two hands pushing out. Okay, so we see this switch again from vertical circle, and also we understand this is a counterclockwise circle. And when your opponent pressing, right hand touch your opponent's wrist, left hand control your opponent's elbow, and guide your opponent's right arm back, and curved pushing out. When you're pushing out, arms will make horizontal circle. Okay, so this is one switch method. How we switch back to vertical circle. When your opponent do push, ward off up, then you come back to vertical for energy circles. Okay, now we talk about the other method. When I'm going to do the roll back, I can also make this change. Okay, so first we understand, you can see this is a clockwise circle direction for me. And when I'm going to do roll back, my right arm not ward off my opponent. So normal circling, I will ward off my right arm and the left arm go down circle to do the roll back. But this time I do a little bit differently. My right arm do not lift up, ward off up. My left arm go down circle and bring my opponent's arm to be horizontal. Then from here, I shift weight back, guide my opponent's right arm out. From here, we changed to horizontal circle. Okay, so watching again. So this is my clockwise vertical circle. From roll back, right arm don't lift up, left arm, forearm, bring your opponent's elbow up until shoulder level, basically horizontal to your opponent's arm. Then move back your weight, change to horizontal circle. Okay, this is two basic methods. Okay, from clockwise circle, roll back position, switch back. From counterclockwise, when your opponent do press, you pulling your opponent out, switch to horizontal circle. Ward off, come back to vertical circle. Roll back, go to the horizontal circle. And from opponent's press, use pulling, go to the horizontal circle. Now we talk about the horizontal circle, left arm again. We know we have to use left palm touch your opponent's elbow, but how you're going to reach your opponent's elbow? Here we have two basic methods. One is use your forearm close to wrist, touch your opponent's elbow, and follow your shift weight back and rotate, change, touch your opponent's elbow, and from here, push out. So use forearm, touch opponent's elbow, okay? And the other method is when your opponent coming to you straight, use your palm, touch your opponent's elbow. And when you are pushing out, follow your opponent's continuing move back, leave your opponent's elbow out, and the left arm become open. When they are close in, touch. When they go back, open it. You cannot all time touch because you will not enough long your arm to reach your opponent's elbow. So here, naturally let it go. When close into you, naturally touch it. Okay, so this is how we make double arms horizontal circle. So watching two switch again from vertical circle counterclockwise, pulling, changed to horizontal circle. From ward off, go back to vertical circle. From counterclockwise circle, use roll back, changing. And pay attention, upper body, don't lean back, body turning to make circles. Okay, and all time, left palm, control your opponent's elbow. So this is horizontal circling. Next, we talk about figure 8 circling in double arms. Actually, this is a small circle. Okay, so here I show you. We start from vertical circle. Okay, you can see circle vertical for energy, and we also switch direction. Okay, this is what we did. And looking for switch to horizontal circle. Okay, and from vertical circle, how we get into figure 8 circling? Actually, somewhere we used before what we learned. For example, we from roll back switch to horizontal circle. Okay, so here you can see from roll back straight get into a figure 8. You can see we make this circle curve is like a figure 8, this kind of circle. So that's the reason we call figure 8. Okay, so see how we switch. There are actually more method. So from here you can see from roll back straight to do it. Okay, so technique, push. Go here, like roll back. Okay, just I'm not really use application to push to your opponent, and more push center right side, and more from right side go to left side, go to the right side. This is about the pushing. The angle is about this angle, not exactly into the opponent, and we just cross your opponent's center to do this circle. So from here, watching again, and opponent switched. Okay, so from here, I do switch again. So roll back, switch. Okay, when you are doing the push, Remember, one touch your opponent's wrist, one touch your opponent's elbow, and both palms facing out to do the push. And when you are get into opponent pushing to you, you doing is rolling your left palm and under your opponent's right arm elbow. So from here, and one do pushing up, the other one ward off, and from here cover your opponent's energy, and from here to do neutralize figure 8. Then from here, opponent do same thing on me. So rolling arm under palm under my elbow, and the other one cover my energy and circling. So this is how we make this push, neutralize to push. Okay, actually this technique is come from hand form, parry, block, and punch. Okay, so this is how we make the figure 8, and you need to pay attention when you are changing hand technique from top of your opponent to under your opponent's arm. Do not picking up change. Use rotate, sticking on your opponent, rolling your opponent on your opponent's arm to make this switch. Don't slide. Do not separate picking up. Okay, so this is how we switch. You can see from palm top of your opponent's arm, change under. From under, change to top. This is how we make this change. Okay, and from here, if your opponent push on you, lift up, then come back to vertical full energy circle. Okay, and if you are circling in different direction, which is counterclockwise, when your opponent do press, what you're going to do is neutralize your opponent's press. A little bit go up curve, neutralize, and pushing it back. Now we come back to figure 8 again. So this is the second method how we switch to figure 8. Okay, so watching again. So from counterclockwise circling, when my opponent do press, I'm a little bit go curved, push back my opponent. From here, we are in the figure 8. Okay, remember, left palm switch. Keep sticking on your opponent. Do not picking up. And move forward, do push. Move back, do roll back. And big enough circling. And to do circle up and down as figure 8. Ward off, go back to vertical circle. Roll back, switch to figure 8. Ward off, back on vertical circle. From your opponent's press, changed figure 8. And pay attention when you do this circle, do not shaking your body, moving left right too much. So keep as much center. It is a little bit of move, but try not too much. So more forward back. Do not moving left right too much. Don't sliding on your opponent. This is figure 8 circle. Next, we're going to show full energy horizontal circle. Okay, so we still start from vertical circle. This is the vertical circle we learned before. How we switch vertical circle to horizontal full energy circle actually similar switch method as you're going to horizontal circle, this kind of change. So you can see when we switch to horizontal circle, we use polling switched. Okay, and also from a vertical circle, we switch to horizontal circle, we use roll back switched. Okay, now we go to horizontal full energy circle, still similar as this. Okay, you can see from horizontal circle and change. Okay, see, just like a horizontal circle change, roll back, lifting up, and moving back. The difference is when I'm going to do the push, my opponent not just turn body to right, and his left arm will touch right arm to do press. Okay, so from here, his left arm contact my both arms, and the right arm under circle, go, roll back. And what I'm going to do is the same thing we show as 4 energies. Okay, so you can see ward off, press, roll back, and opponent to do push. I do same thing from here, ward off, press, roll back, push. This is how we make horizontal circle for energy. And you need to pay attention about shifting with forward and back. So from here you can see when I push this time I'm moving forward and my opponent do roll back. And when opponent push I'm moving back. From here you can see I do press and roll back my opponent and push my opponent, roll back, moving back, and same as my opponent. So when you are in push position, you are forward, opponent to do roll back. When my opponent to do push, I'm going to roll back. Okay, so this is about the forward back. When you are roll back, remember sitting back. When you are in push and moving forward. Okay, so from here, back, forward, back, forward. Both of us, lower body moving forward, back, coordinate together. Okay, so this is one side. So we go back to vertical circle, we do it again. So from here, before we did is from roll back, changed, opponent go, press. We get into the horizontal full energy circle. Okay, and go back to vertical circle again. I can still do it from where? From pulling my opponent. When my opponent do the press, I pulling my opponent out, push. Then my opponent do press, we get into horizontal circle again. Okay, and this is just one direction circle. We have 2 directions to change. We can use different method to make this change. See, my opponent this time from roll back, change, and I do press, we changing to the other side. So this is exactly same as the other direction. To do it, just reverse the side. So you can say ward off, press, roll back, and push, push, ward off, press, roll back. And remember, roll back, use your forearm, don't use your palm. And switch different circling. How you switch it, you can see from up curve. Now you switched. From here, up curve, cross your opponent's side. Now you switched. Up curve. Now you switched. Opponent can do same thing. From up curve, switched. Up curve, switched. And also you can do it. It's a very simple way. From here, don't do the press, just straight pulling your opponent, then direction also get changed. Okay, so those switch all is based from what we learned before. Still requirement, your upper body don't lean back. Same as before. When you do the roll back, remember, use your forearm touch your opponent's elbow. Okay? Do not use your palm touch forearm. And that will make you easy to contact your opponent's wrist. Okay? So the other side, same thing. Use your forearm. Then you will be easily to contact your opponent's wrist. Forearm. Forearm. Changing direction. Switch direction. This is how we do horizontal full energy circles. Next, we talk about double arms, open circle. Okay, so from here, we still start from vertical circle. And pay attention always how we switch from one circle to the other circle. So we start from vertical circle and get into arms open. How? You have to follow the circle motion. The circle motion go down, I will also go down, open it. And this opening, you need to pay attention. Okay, so from here, how we get in touch. Okay, from this direction, you can see when I'm going to do press, instead to do the press, my left arm to do ward off, use my wrist, touch my opponent's wrist, and from here, arms together go down circle, changed. And it's more like hand form cross hands. Okay, so from here you can see arms, both arms ward off, and my opponent both arms to do push and circle down. And my opponent do ward off, I do push. Push, move forward, ward off, sitting back. Push, move forward, ward off, sitting back. Okay, so we go back to see how we changing again. Do same as before. From here, when I going to do press, instead to do the press, left arm ward off my opponent's wrist. Use my wrist, ward off my opponent's wrist. And down motion circle, open. To do push. Push, go forward, ward off, go back. The circle is a more open side circle, and the push is more from side to the front. Okay, and open it. Okay, so ward off also down is more go side, not exactly straight forward and back. It's more from side to do it, more from side to back, and sideways circle in and out. Okay, so watching again. So from here, when I going to do the press, use my left arm, change, open arms, touch, push, ward off, push, ward off. Now I want you to pay attention about your palm. When you're going to do the push, follow your opponent, go down circle. Your both hands, very easy, go into circle it. Now you have to pay attention. Your both palms stay outside of your opponent to do the push. Let your opponent to do ward off. You do the push. Do not stay into it. Do not go into it. Stay your arms outside of your opponent. And your opponent rotate both arms, changing to push. And when they changing to push, you changing to ward off. Okay, so this is how we make a change. You can see, go down, opponent's arms stay outside, and arms open, rotate arms, and touch my opponent's wrist. From here, curved, push to my opponent, and both palms touch your opponent's wrist. Okay, so the circle is a big technique, just ward off and push. How we from open arms get back to the vertical circle for energies. Here, when you do the ward off, you just cross your arms and right arm to do lifting up, ward off up, then you go back to the vertical. Okay, so from here you can see this is how we in the vertical circle. And you can do same thing, right side, from press, changing to ward off, open arms. Okay, so get into open arms, circling. Okay, and the circle direction comes from in to out, out, go in. So from here you can changing from inside, go outside circle, rotate arm, opponent do ward off, I do push. So push is more from down push to my opponent, and my opponent keep ward off up, and still my hands have to stay outside my opponent to do pushing. Okay, your hands stay outside opponent, and to do ward off in here. Push, go forward, ward off, go back. Ward off, sitting back, push, go forward. And when you are doing push, you need to pay attention, palms, sitting angle. So from here, when you are do the push, you can see my palms facing down. Follow my opponent, go down, go up circle. You cannot all time keep your finger point down. So opponent's arms coming up to somewhere, you have to rotate your palms, okay, and feel qi sinking down, comfortable. If your palms keep all time sitting down, you are going to lock yourself. Okay, so here you need to change your palm, how sitting it. So this is about circling in and out. So from here you can switch. Okay, who do push, who go forward. And you also come from here to switch. Push, ward off. push, ward off. Back to vertical circle. Okay, arms cross, lift up my opponent with one arm, then we back to vertical circle. And ward off, opened. In to out, out, go in. You can switch direction and changing from here, go back to vertical circle. Changing from here, go to open arms circling. Okay, so this is arms open circling. We just learned arms open circling. But this circling not always a circle point on your wrist. Sometimes you can go to the elbow. Sometimes you also can go to your opponent's shoulder. Here we do more switch different part of the joint. Okay, so here. Still we start from vertical circle. Okay, so from here you can see vertical circle. And before I did change from vertical circle, I use wrist touch my opponent's wrist and made the change. Okay, so this is how we did in before. And now from here, still same thing, but I can switch into different joint. So for example, I don't use my wrist touch my opponent, I use my elbow. Now, when we circle, my opponent's palm touch my elbows. And here is how we're going to circle. You can see circle on elbow. And circle on elbow. And the important things is arms open and use your forearm, touch your opponent's forearm. Opponent's arm need to do ward off, round it, and touch from forearm to forearm and rolling into your opponent's elbow. Okay, so do not make very small circle just to do this kind of a circle. I want your elbows big open, close in, close in, close in to circle it. Okay, so from here you can see big open, forearm close in to do cross hands circling, and forearm close into it, forearm close into it. Okay, here we have a transfer movement, so use forearm transfer gradually to palm. So do not from here sliding into it. When your opponent touched here, ward off here, do not slide on your opponent. So do not from here sliding on it. Use rolling into it. Okay, and from here you can see rolling into it. Okay, so this is about join from elbow how circle, and also circle from elbow. You can from inward go outward, outward go inward. So here you can see I switch from inside go to outside, circling, pushing, inside circle, inside circle. Same as before, just circle place we use elbow circle. And also from outside go inside, outside go inside, inside, outside. Now we have to talk about the joint switch. Okay, how we from elbow to wrist, how we from wrist to elbow. Okay, so we start from vertical circle. When you are beginning switch in wrist, okay, how we get into elbow? You can see open arms, rotate arms, and bring my opponent's forearm in, and rolling get into my opponent's elbow. So do not from here slide on it. So use your forearm rolling get into it. So watching again. When I'm in ward off, a down circle, open it, rotate, get into your opponent's forearm, and bring your opponent's forearm in, and from here touch your opponent's elbow. Okay, so this is how we switch. It's more like a snake around the tree get into your opponent. So from here, rolling open and rotate, get into your opponent's forearm and touch your opponent's elbow. Okay, don't slide on it. Okay, and also don't pick it up to go. So don't separate. Okay, so this is how we make the switch. So watching again. From here, you can see how we switched. Okay, and also from elbow to wrist. When you get into your opponent's elbow, how you go switch? Okay, we can do from in to out. We also can do from out into it. Okay, so this is how we switch. You can see wrist, rolling, get into elbow. Okay, and elbow from here, elbow from here also open forearm. Okay, and rotate, get into your opponent's wrist. Okay, so this is how we make a switch. And the switch method doesn't matter in and out and in. Both sides you can do it. Okay, from inside circle, you can see rotate and get into opponent's elbow. And the circle also you can do is from inside circle and rotate, get into your opponent's wrist. Okay, so from here you can see from in, touch my elbow, from elbow, rotate and get into opponent's wrist. Okay, so the joint switch, from inward you can do it, outward you also can do it. So this is how we make the switch. And later on, you can even circle from wrist to elbow, elbow to opponent's shoulder, shoulder to shoulder, shoulder to shoulder, and go inside. Also can go from outside. Okay, so this is how we make switch to elbow to wrist, wrist to elbow to shoulder, shoulder to elbow to wrist. Okay, so this is later on how we can make this joint part, different part of touching to make circling. After we practice the fixed step, all circles, now we can moving on to the next to moving step. Here I will going to introduce two kind of footwork of the moving step. One we call straight step, one we call cross step. Okay, so here first I talk about the straight steps. Okay, so from here Okay. Prepare movement, similar as the fixed stop, a little bit different. When we are standing here, both of us, we make between our feet, shoulder width part space. Okay, and the toe direction straight. Okay, it's just like hand form, prepare movements, that kind of footwork. And the arms were touched, same as the double arms, prepare movement. And here, when we are started, first, we don't talk about arm movements, because arm movements is just like fixed stop. We only talk about the footwork first. How we make the footwork? Okay, straight stop. When I step right foot in, my opponent will step back left foot. Our footwork will match each other. So from here you can see stop. Okay, this is how we make the straight step. And right now we are going to practice is 3 steps in, 3 steps out. It's also used to practice is only 1 step forward, 1 step back. So that's going to be like opponent stepping forward 1 step, I step forward 1 step. Okay, so that's the before the kind of practice method of the moving footwork, only 1 step. Now we straight go to the 3 steps, which means from here you can see step 1, step 2, step 3. Okay, now how we going to do? We changing moving forward to moving back. How we do it? We pick up my back foot. Opponent pick up front foot, and we do together. So picking up 1, 2, 3. Now I pick up front leg. My opponent pick up back leg. And remember, when you are pick up your back leg, foreleg bend in. Don't stand up. 1, 2, 3. Then from here, pick up back leg. 1, 2, 3. Pick up 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is just like the dancing footwork. Okay, and 2 of us need to move together. Now we added arm movements. So it's just like what we did before. First, full energy, vertical circle. Same as before. And direction switch. Direction switch. Horizontal circle. Also horizontal full energy circle. We even can do is arms open circle. And also come from inward to outward. Even join switch. And inward, outward. When you are everything come down naturally, circle can be free. Footwork also can be not always straight, forward and back, can be turned. Follow opponents forward, back, turning, and circle. This is moving step, straight step. After you done the straight step, next cross step. Okay, so here, first we show the footwork. The prepare movements similar as the straight step, which means both toe direction straight and the shoulder width part between your feet, and arms still touch as the fixed step. Here we talk about the footwork first. Difference from before is when I step my right foot front, my opponent step back right foot also. So from here you can see I step in right foot and step to inside of my opponent. Okay, next when my opponent stepping, I stepping forward and I keep my foot outside. And the next step, I go inside again. So all time is crossed with my opponent's footwork. And the last step, when we start for the next footwork, especially last step, when you are from here, when you are step back at this time, last footwork, little bit outside to the right side, and give you enough space to do the next step. So from here you can see a little bit outside. Then when we do the next step, okay, so from here, and I was step left foot, left foot. My opponent was picking up right foot, left foot, and step to inside. So here, how we make this switch? We looking clear. So from here, how we make this footwork? Okay, so from here, move. I step as before, step back. My opponent pick up foot, step to my inside, and outside, inside. And the next, when I do it, so from here, pick up my right foot, step to inside of my opponent, outside, inside. All time is crossed with the opponent. So from here you can see inside, outside, inside. And I do it is also inside, outside, inside. And here, if we continue stepping with a straight direction, actually we are a little bit moving to the left side. Okay, but when you are practice naturally, the footwork, we will not always keep it in straight direction. The angle can be turned, okay, not always straight. Here I show you. So with arm movements together, so from here, still we do it. First is vertical circle. You can see step in, step out, step in, 3 steps. Next, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and we can make turning. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and the circle angle direction can change. Same as before, we did straight step. Also, we can do horizontal circle. Also, we can do arms open circle. Basically, pay attention, foot picking up, step into it, step outside. All time, switch with your opponent. And footwork, big, small, conditioning between your opponent. Space. Okay, so this is crossing step.